God'll get you for that one.
Maude is owned by Shout Factory.
God'll Get You for That, Walter is produced for entertainment purposes only.
Sponsored in part by Finley's Friendly Appliances. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of God'll Get You for That, Walter.
He certainly will.
Yes, he will. My name is Tom Catt, and I'm joined by my fabulous co-host, Toni Homeperm.
That's me.
And today we went over the episode Maude the Ticket. Maude and the Ticket.
Yes.
And it aired October 17th, 1972. And what a hysterical episode
it was. Very funny.
We had guest stars. We had Vincent Gardenia as the judge.
Yes.
If you're unfamiliar, Vincent Gardenia played Cosmo in Moonstruck.
With Cher.
And
Nicolas Cage. Olympia Dukakis. And also, in the courtroom,
Louis Gus.
Who
was the bailiff.
Who was the bailiff, who you might not recognize the name, but he played, he was the brother-in-law in Moonstruck. And also in one of the earlier episodes,
he played a delivery man.
Yes.
He delivered the flowers to Carol for the big...
Yes.
That was in... Oh, God, why can't I think of the name of the episode now? It wasn't the double... No, not the double standard. But it was the episode that we just covered where Carol was dating an ex of Maude. An ex of Maude.
Yes.
So... The episode starts with sirens. As Maude is being pulled over for, naturally, a speeding ticket.
Well, he attempted to pull her over.
That's right, he attempted to pull her over.
Maude was not having
Maude was not having any of it. Maude waved at the officer. Maude was, doing everything that she can to, avoid this person.
Yeah.
And he ends up following her into her home.
Yes.
Because Maude ends up walking up to her door.
And she's carrying the groceries.
She's carrying two big, huge filled bags with groceries. And this officer is insistent upon getting her driver's license so that he can, issue a ticket for her.
Right.
And Maude is just not having any of it because, one, she has all of these groceries in it, and two, she has to go to the bathroom.
The powder room.
She has to go to the powder room.
The powder room.
And I've always been fascinated because I was trying to figure out why she was either going to the bathroom to, do what women do in the bathroom, or she was going to relieve herself.
Right.
And I was always trying to figure out which one it was, but then the line that she gives, I know God created trees, but he also had something to do with indoor plumbing.
Yes.
So I imagine she was going to just relieve herself.
Yeah. Well, she says that, she's been at all these grocery stores.
Bohack, the A&P.
Yeah. And she's been out all day, and obviously there was no bathroom. But the funniest thing is she's trying to get the keys to open the door, and she hands the groceries to the cop.
She hands the groceries to the officer. All of them. And he's holding them.
Yes.
This older woman is handing you... Now, it is important to note that the officer is a young gentleman.
Yes.
We find out that he is 26 years old.
Only 26.
And he's, in the eyes of an older woman, a young man.
A baby face.
Which is important to note. So the officer's name is Officer Cosgrove. We don't know much more outside of that name and how old he is.
And when they go in...
Maude says, watch out for that step. It's a Lulu.
Yes, and he goes flying.
He literally goes flying. Falls off the steps. Drops the groceries everywhere. Mm-hmm. So, the officer is now in this house of a stranger.
Yeah.
And Maude immediately says, let me go to the powder room and save my life.
Right.
So she goes to the bathroom to do what she does, and then Florida enters.
Yes, Florida enters.
And we have this sort of interesting dynamic between the cop and Florida. So Florida immediately says...
Uh-oh.
Immediately says, uh-oh, and tries to run away.
Yeah.
And the cop says, what are you doing? Who are you?
He's like, get back here.
Yeah, get back here. Who are... This is a strange cop meeting another strange person who is not the same color as Maude. Mm. So there were things that were happening.
Yes.
And the officer goes, who are you? I'm Florida. I'm the maid that works here. No, I'm the maid that works next door. And
she's like, I'll just go get the maid that works here.
Yeah. So, Florida is trying to get out of this very awkward situation.
She doesn't want anything to do with it.
She does not want anything to do with this police officer.
Right.
And, she turns to the cop because she relents, and the cop goes, "Who is the lady that lives here?"
Right.
So Florida goes, "Mrs. Finley, Maude Finley." Mm-hmm. And I think at that point, that's when Maude returns.
Yeah.
And that's where she says the line, "I know God invented trees, but he also has something to do with indoor plumbing."
Right.
And Maude immediately goes to Florida saying, "Florida, this cop is trying to give me a ticket. Now, you've driven with me before. You know that I do not speed." And Florida goes to her, "Lady, I ain't never seen you before in my life." And hightails it out of there.
Yes.
And then Maude gives a very interesting line saying, "You know how it is, born and raised in the ghetto, trying to get away from the police officer." It was just a very, very interesting turn of phrase.
Yeah. A little cringy.
Definitely cringy.
A little cringy. In today's perspective. Very, very cringy.
Very cringy. In this house, we stand the Black Lives Matter movement. In this house, we support our black friends and those that love and support us, whom we also
especially that as we are recording this, Juneteenth was
just turned into a federal holiday.
Yes.
Was just turned into a federal holiday.
As a federal holiday.
Yeah. And it's June 19th, and it celebrates in 1865 when slaves were freed.
Well, I think it's specifically there was one area in Texas where I think it was 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, these people that they, I guess the news was being kept from them that they had been freed. Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh, Texas.
Yeah.
Oh, Texas.
Not a place I have any desire.
Not a place I have any desire. Do you know what they just did in Texas?
No.
They made a mandate so that you have to keep your thermostat at 82 degrees.
Really?
Because of gridlock.
Oh. Because of their troubles with their power grid. The power grid, yeah. Well, I mean, that was from what I've learned in Texas, they have their own structure. They have their own. Right. They are independent of any place outside of Texas. It is a big state.
It's a very big
state.
And for Ted Cruz. We don't like him.
We don't like him.
He doesn't get any lemonade. No. Just really what's going on in Texas is it's upsetting.
Yeah.
It's really upsetting because what is happening there should not be happening. They should be able to start developing their own power grid, like start connecting their power grid to outside states and whatnot. Yeah. And it's upsetting. It's genuinely upsetting.
Yes.
But we're not here to talk about politics or Ted Cruz. We're here to talk about Maude.
Not in this episode.
Anyway. There wasn't a lot of politics.
This was actually a very sitcom-y
sitcom episode.
As far as Maude episodes go. But you do need that balance.
So there was definitely a good balance of seriousness and cartoonishness.
Yeah.
And I was very. This is again another one of my favorite episodes because it does that balancing act very well.
Yes,
it does that balancing act very well. Mm-hmm. So obviously Maude is getting a ticket. Officer Cosgrove clocked her at doing a 34 in a 30 which
miles per hour.
We've all done that before. We've all done 34 in a 30. We
did it today.
Sometimes we even do 50 in a 30. As long as there's no police officers around, you're fine.
On Long Island, the speed limit is really it's considered a suggestion.
How many people do we know that actually drive 55 on the highway?
If you only drive 55 on the highway, you're going to have somebody behind your tail, pressing on the horn for you to get out of the way.
So that they can do 70.
Exactly.
Or 80.
Exactly.
Or 90.
Yeah. That's especially on the LIE.
Yes.
Which especially why I don't really like to drive on it.
Oh, yeah. I'm not.
And my husband yells at me. He says, "You're driving like an old lady." I'm like, I am an old lady! Well, I don't know about that. But I'm like, I don't have any points on my license. My license is clean. I don't have any speeding tickets, accidents, anything. And
that's me knocking
knock on the wood.
That's knocking wood.
I do want to keep it that way.
Yes.
So.
Oh my goodness. So let's see. As soon as Florida actually says, I ain't never seen you before in my life, Maude turns to her and we get another God will get you for that moment.
Florida. Yeah.
But it's God will get you for that Florida. And then Florida delivers a beautiful line saying, if it's between God and the man, Mrs. Finley, I'll take my chances with God. Wise woman.
Yes.
Wise woman.
So the officer is insisting.
The officer is continually insisting
on getting Maude's driver's license. And she now wants him to take. She's going to give him the driver's license, but she is insisting he take
his helmet
off because it's rude, to not take your
bad manners in a home to wear a helmet.
To wear the helmet.
It's bad manners in a helmet.
Bad manners.
Oh, that dyslexia is going to be the death of me. I swear. Bad helmet in a home to wear a manners. That's what I was going to say.
Or something to that effect.
Something to that effect. So the officer takes off his helmet and he is a very young-looking 26-year-old man. And Maude immediately turns to him and goes,
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Oops. Please excuse Siri.
Siri decided to join us.
Oh my goodness. I don't know why.
I don't know either.
She, so this is not her gig,
No, it's not. It's not her gig.
It's really not her gig.
So Maude turns to the officer and says, well, you're a baby.
A baby face.
You're a pussycat.
Pussycat.
And for a 26-year-old officer, that could be a little jarring.
Insulting.
Especially because this person has a very young-looking face.
Yeah.
And obviously has been told these things before.
Yes.
That's important to remember.
It's a touchy situation.
Obviously,
he's the cop. He's supposed to be
an authority
figure. And all Maude can do is like, oh, you're such a baby face. And she wants to give him milk and cookies.
Milk and cake.
Hawaiian punch.
And
he has to keep catching himself because every time when she offers him the what about milk and cake? He's like, what kind of cake?
Exactly. When we're introduced to this character, he's very, very militant, very aggressive. And then as soon as Maude mentions, how would you like some milk and cookies? He goes, what kind of cookies? Yeah. Like his voice completely changes and it's so adorable.
Yeah.
But again, very cartoony. You would never in a million years have that type of dialogue.
No. I don't think I would get that kind of reaction.
No, you would not. No, you would not. You would immediately be arrested on site. You would be arrested on site. It would be George Michaels all over again.
Would you come visit me in jail?
Are you kidding me? I'll put a file in the manicotti.
Oh, thank goodness. Oh, but wait, my husband is lactose intolerant. So there can't be any ricotta.
No ricotta?
No ricotta.
I'm so sorry.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. Then it'll be a very plain manicotti.
As long as the hacksaw's in it,
that's fine.
I can live with it.
Do that.
I can live with that.
I can do that, no problem. Actually, have you have a clean license, yes?
Yes, I don't
You've never been pulled over once?
Years ago. But, as it stands now for the past 20 years.
All right.
No tickets or anything.
I've only had a few run-ins with police officers. And every time I've had a run-in with the police officer, my heart just is jumping out of my chest.
I know.
There was one time it was me and a group of friends, and my friend was driving pretty recklessly.
Oh,
I think we were on 347, and he was just in and out of traffic, and we just see the lights behind us, and I'm like, oh no, I don't want to be in this car anymore.
Oh goodness.
The police officer did end up letting him off with a warning. He's basically saying, your license is clean, you're good to go, just be careful and no more in and out of traffic. That was one instance. Another instance was me and a friend were chilling at the lake. And a police officer was just like, hey, it's after dark, you guys gotta go. We're just like, we weren't doing it, we were just talking. It was just two friends talking. And the police officer was just, again, let us off the word. But again, jumping out of my chest.
I did cry my way out of getting a ticket once.
I want to hear this story.
I was working at Blockbuster. And
this must have been a while
ago.
The
Blockbuster that used to be right in Hauppauge. Okay, I used to work at that one. It was like I had my regular job, and I was also working,
because the two job struggle is a real.
Because you can't live on Long Island unless you've got at least multiple jobs.
That's correct.
And it so happened that where that Blockbuster was, you weren't supposed to exit. There was a light there, and you're not supposed to make a right on red. But everybody there did. It's Long Island, no right on red.
Signs on Long Island are suggestions.
They're suggestions.
They're not the rule of law.
They're not the rule of law. So anyway, it was like, I'd had a bad, shift. Mm-hmm. Like I found I had to work on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
And like I was, after we closed and I'm exiting, I did a right on red.
As you do.
As I do, and I'm driving away, and then all of a sudden there was the lights behind me. And
I tell you, that is the most anxiety-inducing feeling when you just start to... There were times that I'm like driving on the LIE, and I'm just like, I don't catch myself fast enough, and I realize that I'm like doing 70 in a 55, and I pass a state trooper, and I'm like...
Yeah.
And then you hope...
But you know what? They're really looking for the ones that are going like close over 90. That's 90, the one good thing about doing like 65. Yeah. It's like you're not really that worthy of a target because, they get... It's like a higher fine ticket for somebody that's doing like... 80 or 90, so that's kind of how it works.
Going, the more points you get on your license.
The more points, and the higher is the fine.
That's right, the higher is the fine.
But now let me tell you what happened.
I was going to say, we're not done yet. I need to hear this crying out of a story.
I get pulled over, and it's a female officer, and I'm like getting my license, and I'm like, officer, did I do something wrong? Did I do something? And she's like, you made the right on the red, and then I was like, and I'm like, and I see the thing is, I think I had a point on my license, and if I got like more points, then that stupid point, it stays on there, and it takes longer for the points to come up. And so I just started like crying. I was like, oh, officer, you have to understand. I work, and I had still the Blockbuster shirt on. I work at Blockbuster. See, here's my shirt. And I just found out I have to work Christmas Day, and I'm not going to be able to see any of my family. And, and she was like, oh, okay. She went, she took my thing and she went back to the car and then she came back and she's like, listen, I'm gonna let you off with just a warning. I was like, oh, thank you so much.
Tell Tim I won't be home for Christmas.
Yeah, and she's like, but you can't turn on, you can't make a red there anymore. I was like, I swear I won't, never again. I swear I was just so upset and I got out of getting the ticket. And,
you know what the funny thing is? I was,
and it was all an act.
I'm sure it was.
But I didn't care. I got out of the ticket.
You, a natural born performer.
I know. And the Academy Award for Best Actress goes to
Joan Crawford. Goes to Joan Crawford.
And I got it, but I did get out of the ticket. And that was all I cared about at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, that's really all you need to worry about is just getting out of it.
I got out of it. I don't know. I've never been able to accomplish that feat again, but I've never had to try.
I sincerely hope not.
I hope not.
My hope and my prayer is that neither of us ever have to go through that level of nonsense.
I pray. Oh my goodness. But now Maude she's protesting her innocence. She's protesting her innocence that she wasn't doing 34.
I'll swear on a stack of Bibles I do not speed. Just swearing up and down that she does not speed, that she is just a sterling driver, that she is just the best driver in the world. No speeding, no prior, whatever the case may be. She's just speaking a line of terms.
And that's when Carol then comes in.
That is when Carol.
And she also needs to get into the powder room. She also needs
to go to the powder room to relieve herself.
That was a theme.
That was seemingly a theme with the show.
Yeah.
With this one episode.
And when Maude tells her, that what's going on, she's like, another ticket? So apparently, Maude is not so squeaky clean
as she seems to think she is.
As the lady protests.
No, but it was absolute. Just the delivery in that line. Another ticket.
Another ticket. Oh God.
And Maude ends up trying to. Maude was trying to, get Carol on her side, and Carol was like, "I have to go to the powder room. I can't defend you right now." Right. So Carol ends up saying, "I just cannot believe that you're getting another ticket."
Right.
And Officer Cosgrove goes, "She was exceeding the speed limit, ma'am."
Yeah.
Just trying to, I guess, play up the machismo. Just play up the machismo a little. He laid it on a little thick.
A little, yeah. Well, he had to overcompensate for the baby face.
For the baby face. That's right.
Pussycat.
He had to overcompensate for the baby pussycat face. How can a baby pussycat face and a chicken heart live in the same body?
Unbelievable. So now he's insisting Maude sign the ticket. She doesn't want to sign it. And he's telling her, well, she can still
you can still protest your innocence.
Your innocence.
You can still protest your innocence.
Go to traffic court.
Go to traffic court. Do all that fun stuff. It's just I think that's what it usually is. Regardless of what you're in, you still have to I don't know if you have to sign for anything anymore, but
you probably do.
I think you still have to sign for it anyway.
Sure, yeah.
And it's not an admission of guilt.
Right.
And that's what the officer was trying to tell him on. This isn't an admission of guilt. You can still go to court and do what you have to do in order to get the ticket reduced or
thrown out.
Or dismissed.
Right.
So, Maude signs. She relents. She signs and then sends...
Officer Cosgrove is, he's leaving. And
Officer Cosgrove is getting ready to leave. And then Maude grabs his arm, says, "You pipsqueak, you! You slide your way into my house, you worm your way into my heart, and then as soon as we're all done, you leave."
Yes. Well, what was it? Something like, biff, bam, thank you, ma'am.
Biff, bam, goodbye, ma'am.
Goodbye, ma'am. Yes.
Just overacting now. And again, just another one of the things that I love about B. Arthur is Maude.
Yeah.
Just overacting to her heart's content. And that's how she ended up with the Emmy.
Yes.
That's exactly how she ended up with the Emmy from
Yes, it is.
But yes, the officer ends up leaving. Maude ends up saying, "How dare you? You do all of these things, and then suddenly, you get what you want, and then you leave me."
Yes.
And then as Officer Cosgrove leaves, Maude goes, "And I tricked you! I never had any Twinkies!"
That's right.
That
was one of the treats she offered.
One of the treats that she offered.
There was Twinkies and
milk cookies, cake, Twinkies, Hawaiian punch.
Twinkies.
Would you ever offer a police officer anything if they're pulling you over?
Oh my God, no.
I'd be too scared.
Oh yeah.
I would be too worried that if I do something, something's going to happen and I'm just going to end up on the 6 o'clock news.
Yeah, with you it'd be like, "Oh, you're trying to bribe me now, huh, man?"
But that's true. That's true. And bribing is another theme of this episode.
Oh, yes.
Bribery is another theme of this episode.
Yeah. So now
Walter and
Arthur coming back from
a game
golfing.
Golf.
Have you ever golfed?
I just can't. I can't get into it.
Yeah.
My uncle used to take me and my brother to fields, not fields, but to
putting green or
a putting
green,
like something to that effect. Yeah. With the big netted fence. And
I'm sorry, it's golfing to me is just
it's so boring.
White men in hideous pants.
Boring. Just
and
so boring. Plaid.
Yeah.
I refuse to wear plaid.
No.
What? So
I do have a cute 50s
plaid
dress for a 50s.
I would honestly expect nothing less.
How could you expect anything less?
I would not expect anything less from you. But everyone needs at least one Rose Island look.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So they come back from a game of golf, and Walter and Arthur obviously saw the officer leaving.
Yes.
And Walter's just like, "Arthur, why didn't you ask the question? I'm kind of scared to do that." So Arthur goes, "Hey, there was an officer leaving. What was that about?" Mm-hmm. And then Maude goes, "In a city teeming with crime and all these things, I have just been given a speeding ticket." Mm-hmm. And Arthur, of course, being Arthur, says, "And you're such a sterling driver, Maude."
Yes.
Just going over all of the citations that Maude has garnered from, broken U-turns, illegal U-turns, parking in a spot that she shouldn't be parked in. Of all of these things that she's done, it was the speeding ticket that really pushed her over the edge.
Yes.
And then we come to find out, as Carol enters, that, because Walter even brings up, I don't think you can afford to, like, you can't afford to, like, not challenge this. Because
she has 8 points already on her license.
And with the speeding ticket,
it's a 2, puts her up to 10, licenses suspended.
Yep. What is it in New York State?
I don't know.
I worked for a lawyer for a brief period. I think it was only like a month and a half. And I think it was over 12.
I think that may be
over 12. Your license is suspended.
Could be, yeah.
Because we had to deal with a lot of like taxi drivers and residential drivers, and they would all do stupid stuff.
Yeah,
and then they would end up, having to pay off these tickets, and it became a diabolical situation.
Yeah.
Just be careful on the road, kids. We're advocating for safe driving here.
Yes. Especially don't drink and drive.
Please do not drink and drive.
Don't drink and drive.
That is mentioned a number of times in this series where people just drink and drive.
Yeah.
And, that was okay in the 70s, but it's not okay now.
No. Big no now.
Please do not drink and drive. I cannot say that enough.
Yes. So now Arthur starts on his spiel about wanting
law and order
to help out and fix the ticket.
Not only the conversation that happened, was it after the Arthur suggest? No, it was after Arthur suggesting to fix the ticket.
Yes.
And so Arthur suggests that I can make a phone call to a friend who knows a friend who knows whatever the case may be, and we can get the ticket either knocked down or dismissed completely. And Maude is just absolutely disgusted.
Yeah, she is appalled at the idea.
She is appalled at the idea of fixing a ticket and not, doing what it is that she can as an American citizen to get the ticket reduced of her own accord.
Yeah, just to have her day in court to protest her innocence.
And Arthur goes, well, that's just your liberal mentality. That's just...
right.
Liberals are always against law and order. And he goes off on this stupid rant about how you have law and order and how, the police are around to protect... I have to, sometimes, block some of the stuff that Arthur says out because it's just so stupid.
Yeah.
Because, again, one of the beautiful things about the writing in the show is that it points out the hypocrisy of... It points out the hypocrisy of what each side is saying. Whether you're a liberal, whether you're a conservative, it points out the hypocrisy of both of those arguments. And it does it in a way that, makes you think.
Yeah.
It does it in such a way that makes you think. I cannot recall exactly the specifics of it, but even at the end of Arthur's argument, Carol and Maude were just... Carol, who's usually the logical one, says, you lost me somewhere. You lost me somewhere in that argument.
Yeah.
And that's not the first time that's happened, where, Arthur will go off on these conservative Republican tangents, and then they'll end up saying, just, Arthur, you lost me. You lost me somewhere in the argument that you were trying to have. And the point that you were trying to make, it just did not make any sense after that point.
Right.
And they never did that with Maude. The only way they did it with Maude was in the actual storyline. The storyline was how they pointed out Maude's hypocrisy.
Right.
When it came to Arthur, it was just Arthur would go on these orations where he would just go on and on and on and on and on. At the end, it was all right, we get it, but you're still wrong. So why are we here? Just explain to me why we're here. But yeah, so everyone wants the ticket fixed. And
especially Walter.
Walter definitely wants it fixed because, again, he doesn't. What did he say? You're gonna if your license is suspended, you're gonna have to go to the street corner and
you're gonna have to hitchhike,
or you're gonna have to take a bus. And then Maude says, Carol, make me a sign. The A and P or bus.
A and P or bus. And when Florida comes back in...
Florida is getting ready to leave, and she goes, Miss Finley, I'm getting ready to leave. And then Maude again pleads with Florida. There was a cringy joke that she made, there was a cringy thing that Maude said, before that time. No, I'm sorry. Maude goes, Florida, they want me to get the ticket fixed. What do you suggest I do? Florida goes, and it wasn't cringy. It was not cringy at all. Florida says, well, Mrs. Finley, you only want what us blacks want. Real justice.
Real justice.
But the idea of you being stuck at home with me, no.
All day.
No, ma'am. Fix the ticket.
Yes.
So everybody
That's
is now
the last thing Florida wants.
That's the last thing Florida wants is for one to constantly be home.
Yes.
And then, that leads into Florida leaving.
Yes.
I think it was a commercial break right at that point.
Yes, that's
that was a commercial break.
Yes. Yes. Well, I mean, Walter's told her she's being foolish, but she's insisting she's going to go to court.
Yep, Maude and Walter do get into a bit of a heated argument where Walter's just, again, being a noble, intelligent husband, basically saying, hey, I know how you feel, I get where you're coming from, but if the ticket can be fixed, fix the ticket.
Right.
And it was really one of those moments where you see, again, a bit of Walter's human side.
Yeah.
Because usually he will, more often than not, be on Maude's side because Maude is intimidating.
Right.
And Maude controls both sides of their heated blanket.
Yes.
And
now, that's when Arthur was accusing Maude of, her liberal.
Yes, at that point, that was when.
Because that's when she tells him that she has two words for him.
Well,
Arthur, I have a pronoun.
Thank you.
Thank you, yes. I'm sure that's not what she was thinking.
When I heard that line for the first time, I peed myself. I did, because I'm like, this is so brilliant.
Yes.
This is such brilliant writing.
Two words for you, a verb and a pronoun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We all know what she wanted to say.
It wasn't exactly
We all know what she wanted to say.
Yes.
So, Maude ends up, I think, going into the kitchen.
Her and Carol, they go to
fix dinner.
That's when Walter and Arthur conspire.
Walter and Arthur have their kibitz, where they go back and forth saying, Arthur, is it possible to get the ticket reduced? And he goes, absolutely. Yeah. I know a friend who knows a friend who can get the ticket thrown out. So Walter goes, please fix the ticket. Just fix the ticket. Arthur then says, well, what about Maude? How are you going to be able to... Right. What are you going to do with her? Walter goes, I can handle it. Arthur says, you got courage, old man.
Yeah. And Walter says, I'm just going to blame
That's
you
right,
for
I'm just going to blame you for it anyway. Arthur goes, how are you going to get out of it?
Yeah.
Walter goes, simple. I'll just blame you.
Just blame you.
And then I think at that point we finally arrive at the court.
At the court.
And Vincent Gardenia, who we mentioned, was the judge. Louis Gus was the bailiff.
And as soon as we saw the two,
as soon as we saw the both of them,
I'm like,
oh my God, look at this! It's a Moonstruck before Moonstruck.
Before Moonstruck, I know. And apparently, Vincent Gardenia is playing Judge. What was his name? Judge Motorman.
Judge Motorman. Yes.
And it looks, from the onset, it appears that Judge Motorman is a tough judge.
Very hard, very strict judge.
He's giving a tongue lashing to
I think a young kid.
A defendant.
A defendant who was also... was it also a traffic violation?
Yeah, because it was all traffic court.
All traffic court, that's right.
So he's, laying into this young guy.
And if it was up to the judge, he would throw the book at him.
Right.
So Maude is already like...
Uh-oh.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
I'm in for it.
Yeah.
And the bailiff calls...
Maude's
case. And Maude goes up to... The judge calls Maude up to the stand.
Right.
And the judge basically, in no uncertain terms, says, we're fine. It's all good. Go home.
Yeah.
And Maude is just very, very taken aback by that. Now, first and foremost, if I was Maude... Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have cared.
I know.
You want to throw this ticket out? By all means, toodaloo, go with God, and don't take any nickels.
I would have been like, so long, see ya,
peace, deuces.
But Maude
being Maude, once her day in court.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So just the dynamic between Vincent Gardenia and B. Arthur was so good.
Yes.
I desperately wanted Vincent Gardenia to guest star more on Maude. But I think this was the one and only time. It was the one and only time he was on.
Yeah.
And what a funny actor.
Yes.
What a funny character actor he was, man. If you're unfamiliar with Vincent Gardenia's work, yes, he did play a couple of bit parts. He was also in Moonstruck as Cosmo.
Little Shop of Horrors.
That's right. Yes, he was in Little Shop.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of what else he did. I literally I pulled up the IMDb.
So many. If you look him up on IMDb, there's
again,
so many
what a
things
great character
that
actor
he did.
And he did not hold back in this episode.
No,
like, you saw a lot of his genius.
He was over the top
when he was on the.
But Maude is like, but I don't understand. Is it anything I said?
Well, the thing was
something I did.
The thing was, it started with Maude basically saying, "Good evening, good afternoon, Mr. Motorman. I see your plaque on the outside. You're very big around here,
big man, or something like
that." Maude is thinking. Am I
butter this guy up?
Am I really getting left off the hook because I was trying to ingratiate myself to this man? And of course, the judge was like, "I understand where you're coming from. No, it had nothing to do with you complimenting me. It was just this was all taken care of." And Maude is putting it's taking her a little bit, but she's putting the pieces together.
Yeah.
And she finally realizes that this is a fix.
Yeah.
As soon as she says the word
fix,
the judge goes crazy. Like, don't say that word.
Don't say that
word. And I'm literally trying to think of like where we go from there. But it really is.
Well, then we get into his explanation.
Yes. That his daughter, she was a tennis court. Rodney, I think so.
Rodney, and it's like.
Mr. Rodney.
Was it Rodney owed Arthur a favor?
Rodney owed Arthur a favor.
He owed Rodney the favor, and Rodney owed Arthur the favor. So that's how it progressed so Arthur was calling in his favor to Rodney, and Rodney was calling in his favor to the judge. And that's how Maude's ticket was getting
squashed.
Yes.
And I love
because the judge's daughters play tennis
on the Rodney court.
Yeah, and it's expensive. And
I loved his explanation. I don't have a tennis court, Mrs. Finn.
Right.
Like, we don't make enough money in traffic court. Supreme, yes. Probate, no. Traffic, never.
Right.
Just such a funny delivery of that line.
Yes.
I loved his character.
And now Maude tells him that, she's heard his argument, and she is...
The way that she was describing it was as if she was the judge.
She's heard his argument, and she's ruling against it.
And he just breaks down.
Yeah.
He breaks down completely. So...
Because he doesn't have a choice.
He doesn't have a choice.
He owes Rodney, and that's the only way he can get out of owing Rodney, despite... what Maude is asking for.
Yeah. Because Maude doesn't care who you are because she is so self-important.
Exactly. And everyone better know it.
Oh. So, Judge Motorman relents.
Yes.
Says, all right, on with the show.
Yeah.
So they call Officer Cosgrove.
Yes.
And... the judge is trying to get Officer Cosgrove to basically say, just throw it out.
Yeah.
What are you trying to be?
He's grasping at straws.
Very much grasping at straws.
Officer Cosgrove to admit that, he made a mistake. They're talking about, and he says like, I've seen you motorcycle cops and he
bounces.
Yes.
He
bends over
and bounces and he's shaking his butt.
I think that may have been the first incidence of twerking.
That may have been one of the first instances of twerking
on television.
So Vincent Gardenia,
it looked like he was twerking.
Looked like he was twerking
in simulating a motorcycle cop on the motorcycle.
The speedometer, they bounce.
They jiggle. That maybe the speedometer was bouncing, so it really wasn't 34 in a 30 mile per hour zone.
Maybe have been 30 and a 30 and a 30 and a 30. Who knows?
Yeah, right.
So Judge Motorman is trying his darndest to get Officer Cosgrove.
And he brings up the point about the chicken something again.
What are you, trying to be a chicken or something?
Yeah.
And there was some gasps and oohs in the audience when I heard that.
Yeah.
I was very fascinated by that. Because you don't call people chicken way back when.
Yeah. Especially a cop.
Oh yeah, especially a cop. So, Officer Cosgrove is just like, no, she was exceeding the speed limit. I'm here to, give my side of the story. This is what happened. And he is giving in great detail at 5:35.
Right,
I caught the time he was giving. Just going over everything. The street names that he was going down with her. Just going over everything in great detail. And Judge Motorman is just like, yeah, sure, whatever, I don't care.
He's like, ugh.
Just, he's getting frustrated because he just wants this thing to be thrown out already.
He needs this thrown out.
So,
now it's time for Maude to cross-examine
Judge Cosgrove. Judge Motorman calls Maude to the stand, and you don't see that very often. You don't see people testifying for themselves. No, in traffic court, you can testify for yourself, can't you? You can testify for yourself.
Excuse me. Like in something like small claims traffic court, you don't need a lawyer. You wouldn't have a lawyer. No,
that's right. No, because my family members have gotten tickets, and like every time they do, I'm like, "Do you need somebody to go and support you? Because I could be there." And then they tell me, "No, because you're going to just jump across." And I'm like, "You're right. I probably would jump across."
Oh Lord.
Oh, I'm evil. I'm vicious. I come off very kind and sweet.
You wouldn't last long in women's prison, you know. I mean, it might take them a few months to realize.
It'll take them a few months to figure out.
And then they still might not let you go. They still might not.
Maude is the new black, apparently. Or orange is the new Maude. Orange is the new Maude!
Oh, we kill us.
We are just a funny couple of queens, friends.
Now, one of the things that was funny is when Maude is cross-examining Officer Cosgrove, he's like, "How can you be sure it was me?" And he said, "Well, I
never forget.
Couldn't miss your gray hair."
And Maude turns to him and goes, "Watch it, Cosgrove."
Yes,
because evidently the thing was, Maude never wanted to dye her hair. Right. She felt that she never gave into traits that were vanity. I mean, granted, yes, she did have a facelift, but I think after watching Maude and watching Golden Girls and watching things that she's done in between, like when she was on Broadway and when she did the award shows and whatnot, you always notice that she would wear something around her neck.
Yeah.
So I think it was possibly a thyroid problem that she had gotten taken care of. And then when she got it taken care of, she had loose skin.
Right.
One of the reasons why she ended up, if you're paying attention to these things like I do because I'm crazy, in Maude, she was very well developed.
Right.
And then in Golden Girls, she was very flat-chested.
Right.
She had a breast reduction and she had a facelift between Maude and Golden Girls. Because I guess she wanted things tightened up and she hated the fact that her breasts started to sag. And I think she told a New York Post, she was interviewed, I think, by the Post. And she had said one of the things that I hate about, one of the reasons why I had my breasts one of the reasons why why she had the double mastectomy was because she hated lifting her breasts and cleaning under them because when you get old and you end up having...
Yeah, things start to go
gravity
south.
Decides to take its toll on
Gravity is a cruel mistress.
Yes, she is. Yes, I have yet to have that pain befall me. But it'll happen. It'll happen as it does to all of us.
And I will be there to point it out.
I will make sure you are aware just how saggy you are becoming.
Yeah. I know someone else who will, too.
Oh, my God. She'll do it with a smile on her face.
Yes, and a cigarette.
Do it with a smile on her face and a cigarette in her mouth.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
So now Maude starts with the pussycat.
Yes. And Officer Cosgrove immediately goes on the defensive.
Yes.
You saw how angry this actor got. And he's like, don't call me that.
Yes.
Please don't call me that. Well, I get it from all you women drivers.
Yes, the women drivers.
He calls out women drivers, and Maude immediately says, "You have it in for women drivers." And he goes, "No, I have friends who are women drivers. My mother's a woman driver." And that's the moment when Maude says, you just see that Maude knows. I wrote down, Maude uses psychology to break Officer Cosgrove.
Yes,
completely and totally breaks him. So she says, "Your mother calls you babyface,
doesn't she?"
And he again immediately gets on the, who told you that?
Mm-hmm.
Because when I find out who told you that, you wait and see!
Yes.
And he cracks.
He loses
cracks.
his composure.
Loses all composure.
Yeah.
Turns to Judge Motorman and says,
yes.
Your Honor, I'm in no composure to stand right now.
Yeah, yes.
Speedometers, they jiggle. And he just relents to everything.
And the judge is like, so she was only going 30 and she was only going 30.
Officer
30
Cosgrove says maybe she was going
maybe even a little less.
The judge goes even less.
Even less.
I wish things like that actually happened in real life, but that's a fallacy.
And I just remembered his name in Little Shop of Horrors. Mr. Mushnick.
That's it, Mr.
Mushnick.
Mr.
Little Shop
Mushnick
of Horrors.
Shop.
Sometimes it takes a while to reach the gray cells.
I was going to say, that's another thing that Gravity will
find the information, but it's there. It
exists.
Mr. Mushnick.
So, the episode does continue. Oh, it gets better, friends.
Yes,
it gets so much better.
Yes.
So, Officer Cosgrove gets off the stand. Judge Motorman says, case dismissed.
Right.
Thank God.
Yes.
Everything was squared away. Everything was taken care of.
Yes, because now he doesn't owe.
Now he doesn't owe Rodney. He doesn't owe. He does not owe Rodney the favor.
They're set.
So, Maude goes to the judge saying, like, thank you for allowing me to be a part of the judiciary process.
Proving her innocence.
Making sure that there's room in this country for one law and no what was the word that she used? No favors.
Right.
Yeah, sure. She's continuing to ingratiate herself and just continuing to like blow smoke, but she's believing all of this.
Yeah,
she's completely and totally believing all of this.
Hook, line, and sinker.
That's right. Hook, line, and sinker, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
So. Everything's squared away. The judge goes into his chambers. The bailiff goes over to Maude and says, well, you also have these outstanding citations.
The outstanding parking tickets.
Parking tickets, whatever the case may be.
Yes.
And she goes, he says...
it's $30. Let me just say.
I wish
a parking ticket
was only
$30. Usually, I mean, you're lucky probably if it's like...
less than $100.
I was going to say like $150.
Mm-hmm.
More likely. I mean, they can be pretty
pricey.
Pretty expensive.
Very expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, the county's got to get taxed. The county's got to get their money.
Yeah.
The police officers got to get their money. Everybody's got to get their money.
Got to get their money, yeah.
So, as we get older, that price will continue to rise. But there was actually something that I wanted to point out. Not to completely and totally detract.
Go ahead. Detract.
But no, one of the things that I had read was that in Ulster County, like upstate New York, and in other states like I think Virginia, California, I'm trying to think of like other. I think Massachusetts was another one. They're doing not income. What did they call it? Oh God, now I can't think of the freaking term for it. But there are certain residents where if they qualify, they get $500 either each week or each month in an attempt to not only stimulate the economy, but to sort of give people an idea as to what universal income will look like.
Oh.
And you had mentioned something earlier that I wanted to focus on that for 2 seconds, but I think that's wonderful. I think it's absolutely wonderful that states are doing this as sort of a test. Because if that's the case, then that will certainly reduce the poverty.
Well, you know what I feel? No one needs to be a billionaire.
No one needs to be a billionaire.
No one needs
billionaire should
to
not
be
exist.
A billionaire.
A billionaire should not exist.
No one individual should be hoarding that much.
As soon as you get to 999,999,999, you should not go any higher. You should be given a plaque and a dog park.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. Nobody needs to, a small percentage of the people do not need to be making so much money that there are, hundreds of thousands or millions that, can't even live, are living below the poverty level and don't have health insurance.
Correct.
You know what? It's like there's no need for a small percentage of people to, be holding on to all this wealth when so many other people have nothing.
Yeah.
At least let's, they should be paying enough in taxes.
And you look at shows like Maude and The Jeffersons and All in the Family, and you see what middle class actually looks like. Middle class doesn't look like that anymore.
No.
The middle class is practically being absolved.
Yeah.
And, the fact that states are actually trying to do this where you get 500 or whatever the numeric was. I forget. But I ended up reading about it. I think it was an AP.
Mm-hmm.
And just reading that, I'm like, this is a wonderful idea.
Right.
Having universal basic income,
right,
where you're getting such and such a month or such and such a week, is only, I think, going to improve matters in this country.
Yeah,
because we'll be able to meet the inflation.
Yeah.
P.S. Reagan has ruined this country.
Oh, yeah.
Reagan financially ruined this country.
Yeah.
And, as a matter of fact, I think Reagan was mentioned a couple of times in Maude. I just forget which episodes, but every time he was usually met with Maude saying something crass about movie stars and being presidents.
Mm-hmm.
And, I wish that was taught. I wish that was taught in schools.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that more and more students were taught just how detrimental certain presidents were to the finances of this country.
Well, for me, it goes even beyond that because I was, a young man at that time. I think when he first came into office, I was maybe, I don't know. Was I 13 already by that time? I don't remember. But, that's when the AIDS epidemic started, and the Reagan administration completely turned a blind eye and did not care. And, I just associate the Reagan administration, for me, it's like, remember seeing on the news, hospital corridors, like, with young men dying of AIDS, and it's on a gurney in a hospital corridor because the hospital rooms were too full with other young gay men dying of AIDS, and no one cared. So for me, I also have those feelings on top of it because I lived it. I saw it. I saw it, and for me, it's what kept me in the closet. Mm-hmm. Kept me from coming out was, seeing that and being afraid,
being scared,
and being very afraid.
Yeah.
So it was bad.
In short, dear friends, please practice safe sex, and if you haven't, and if you are, get on Truvada, get on PrEP, get on some type of medication that will only assist you in the future.
Or at the very least, you use a condom, know your partner's status.
Mm-hmm.
There is no
I was going to say, in Maude specifically, there were no episodes based around the AIDS epidemic. It was
because it was too early.
It was way too early.
It was way too early.
I think the last episode was in '78, so that we were years away from the AIDS crisis. But they do have episodes featuring a storyline based around homosexuality.
Yes.
And, as we continue to get older, these are things that we do need to be educated on.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there was another thing that I read where there needs to be some type of education for queer youth.
Oh, yeah.
There needs to be some type of sexual education for queer youth.
Yeah.
But again, you can't say that to a conservative because you're allowing them to have sex with each other. We cannot have that.
Yeah, because if they're not taught anything, they're not going to have sex.
They're not going to have sex at all.
No.
They're just going to abstain.
Oh, of course.
They're just going to be abstinent until God knows when.
Yeah, they'll just say no. Yeah. Okay.
They'll just say no. My foot.
Yeah. We'll see how well that pans out.
And as we continue to get older, there will be shows that will feature these types of storylines,
mm-hmm.
and I feel like that level of representation is important. We see it with Pose. Mm-hmm. We see that representation with Pose,
right.
But, we will also see it in other shows as time progresses and time moves on.
Very true.
So, Maude wants the bailiff. Maude wants the bailiff to pay them down.
She wants him, she's trying to hand him the money, And
he ends up saying, like, because of late fees and whatnot.
Yeah, it was like 35
or 37.
Yeah, I was like,
I wish!
I know, late fees
I could find that
like,
on my couch!
Late fees usually like another $50. If you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
I mean, so come on. So she's trying to, like, just give him the money. She's like, he just, take it to, he tells her she has to go to room 214. She's like, here's the money.
It'll be easier for you. You can just cut the line.
Right, yeah. And again, Maude needs everyone to make things easier for her.
While still making things complicated for everybody around her.
Yes.
Like, one of the terrible things I love about Maude is that the world revolves around Maude. That's just it. And nothing else.
Yes.
It's all Maude all the time.
Yes.
I guess that's why I resonate so much with it, because I feel the same way about myself.
Same.
And that's why we have our own show together.
Yes.
So, the bailiff just rolls his eyes and says, I guess I'm taking care of this.
She throws him a 5.
She throws him a 5 to say, here's something for your troubles.
Yes.
And then she just walks out. Now, mind you, I think this was like one of the first instances where we see Maude in a dress.
Yes, I pointed that out. I said, she's wearing a dress.
She had on stockings.
I guess.
She had on block, chunky heels.
Because it was court.
Because it was court.
Probably. So probably the mindset at that time would be as if you're going to court, you need to be dressed properly.
You need to be dressed in a proper way.
Oh,
nowadays you can just shuffle on in your sweats and a t-shirt.
Yeah, I mean, and they do. Yeah, it's like going to Walmart now.
Very much like going to Walmart. With the same level of frequency, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
So Maude ends up exiting. The bailiff is just looking there glumly, like, okay, I guess I'm doing this.
Yes.
And then it opens to Maude and Walter post, obviously, a very dramatic fight. I think Maude and Walter are sipping on cocktails.
Yes. I didn't get the feeling that they had a fight.
I think they did.
Oh, okay. I didn't
because Walter was apapologetic.
Yes, he was apologizing for trying to
and if you don't think Maude walked into that house screaming at Walter about what he did,
yeah.
I can guarantee you
that's true.
Maude was a tornado when she came home.
Any ammunition would be good in her book.
That's correct.
Yes, I can admire that.
Yeah. Yes. Just to be that independent and that loud and shrill, absolutely.
I can definitely identify with that, yes.
So she comes home, they obviously have a fight, and Walter's like, I'm sorry, I apologize, I didn't know that you would feel this strongly about it. And Maude, bless her loving heart, says, well, sometimes you're wrong and I'm right, and sometimes I'm right and you're wrong. And the pause at the end where, like, there's no camera zooming, but Maude is looking down at her drink, and Walter is just shooting daggers at Maude. Like, you said that, didn't you?
That reminds me of when I'll tell my husband, I'll say, hun, what's yours is mine, and what's mine is mine. And he just says, I know.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to relent for the
greater good. It's for the greater good. It really is. Think of the children.
Think of the children.
Think of the children.
Think of the children. Oh my goodness. Oh my Lord! But yeah, what a fun episode.
It was a very fun episode. It really was.
And, like, again, all of the parts were there. It was by this point, it was a well-oiled machine, because this was, I think, episode 6.
Yeah,
episode 6 of season 1, and really just the series just continues down this sort of gamut of hot button issues. Mm-hmm. I think the next episode is. If I'm not mistaken, I think the next episode might be, if not Maude in the medical profession, then it might be Maude's Dilemma. I don't know. Because, Maude's Dilemma was definitely, that was the episode. That was the episode.
That's sort of the defining moment of the series.
Yeah, the entire series really has carried the weight of this episode for so many years.
Yes.
And again, I genuinely think it's one of the reasons why Maude has not done well in syndication. Because as soon as you hear Maude, it's like, oh, the abortion show.
The abortion episode.
Like,
yeah.
I don't, it saddens me just because we're missing out on such brilliant television.
Yeah.
And that's why we have this show, friends.
Yes.
Let me just double check because I'm crazy like that.
Well.
Nope, it's Love and Marriage. Which
okay.
I don't know what that is. But I'm sure if we're 1, 2, 3 episodes out. 3 episodes out from Maude's Dilemma.
That's something to look forward to.
That's something to look forward to. I am really excited to go over Maude's Dilemma just so that we can go over the stigma that surrounds abortion. And again, just go over how important that episode was at that time.
There may have to be a 2-part.
Oh, it's definitely going to be a 2-parter because it was also a 2-parter.
Oh, it is a 2-parter.
It is a 2-parter. It's a 2-parter.
That may have to be because that's
it's a lot. It's a lot.
It is a lot. So
it's a lot.
Get prepared, people.
Be prepared.
Be prepared.
But yes, thank you for joining us on another episode of God Will Get You for That, Walter. If you would like to follow me, you can at ThatTomCat on all forms of social media. You can also find me at ThatTomCat.com. And if you would like to follow my darling co-host, you can at
ToniHomeperm.com. And of course, that's Tony with an I. Still have to work on that. And of course, on Facebook, you can find Toni Homeperm. And you can also find God'll Get You for That, Walter.
On YouTube.
And Facebook.
And Instagram at Findley's Friendly Appliances.
And you can also email us at
Findley'sFriendlyAppliances@gmail.com.
Yes, so there's no reason not to be able to get a hold of us.
That's right. We're there. We're always there.
We're
always waiting. Please message us.
Comment, like, subscribe, all those good things.
And we will see you on another episode of God'll Get You for That, Walter.
Good night.